Have you ever felt invisible even when you're surrounded by people? Like no matter how hard you try, how much you sacrifice, you're still not enough? This is the story of the day I finally stopped performing for an audience that was never really watching. They tell you to be yourself, but what they really mean is be the version of yourself that makes them comfortable. The day I understood this difference, everything changed. I used to be the person who said yes to everything. Need help? I'm there. Need a favor? Count on me. I thought that's what made me valuable. Being available, being useful, being needed. My calendar was full, but my heart was empty. I had 1,000 acquaintances, but not a single person who truly knew me, because I was too busy being what everyone else needed me to be. At work, I was the one who stayed late, took on extra projects, never complained. With friends, I was the listener, the helper, the one who adjusted my schedule for theirs. With family, I was the peacekeeper, the problem solver, the responsible one. And you know what the worst part was? I convinced myself this was who I was, a giver, a people pleaser, a good person. I wore my exhaustion like a badge of honor. But late at night, when I was alone in my apartment, I'd look in the mirror and realize I didn't even recognize myself anymore. Who was I when no one was watching? I honestly didn't know. I posted carefully curated photos on social media, always smiling, always living my best life. Hundreds of likes, dozens of comments saying, "You're amazing." But inside, I felt like a fraud, performing in a show that never ended. Then came my birthday, the day that shattered every illusion I'd built about my life. I'm not being dramatic, it literally changed everything. I planned this huge birthday dinner at my favorite restaurant, sent invitations 3 weeks in advance, confirmed with everyone personally because I wanted it to be perfect. I showed up 30 minutes early to make sure everything was arranged, reserved a big table for 15 people, even wore my best outfit because I wanted to look good in the photos. 7 p.m. came, the reservation time. I sat there, checking my phone, sending "Where are you guys?" messages. On my way, they said. Traffic, they said. Be there in 10. 7:30 p.m. Still alone. The waiter kept asking if I wanted to order drinks while I waited. I kept saying, "Just a few more minutes, they're coming." By 8 p.m., 3 people had shown up. 3 out of 15. And 2 of them spent the whole dinner on their phones, barely engaging. I sat there forcing a smile, pretending it was fine, making jokes about everyone being fashionably late, but inside, I was crumbling. The excuses started rolling in after 8:30. Something came up, not feeling well, sorry, next time. Next time? I had been there for them countless times. One person who I'd helped move apartments last month posted an Instagram story at a different party. They weren't sick, they weren't busy, they just chose something else. I paid for a meal meant for 15 people, drove home in complete silence, and sat in my car in the parking lot for an hour, just numb. That's when it hit me. I'd spent years trying to be important to people who barely remembered I existed when it actually mattered. The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. I turned my phone off. Not silent mode, completely off for 3 days. No messages, no calls, no social media. Just me, alone with my thoughts for the first time in years. And it was terrifying, but also strangely liberating. I started asking myself questions I'd been avoiding. When was the last time I did something because I wanted to, not because someone asked? When was the last time I said no without feeling guilty? I grabbed a notebook and made 2 lists. 1. Things I do because I genuinely want to. 2. Things I do to be liked, to be accepted, to be needed. The first list had 3 items. The second list, 2 full pages. That's when I realized I'd built my entire life around other people's approval. On the 3rd day, I turned my phone back on. 4,700 messages. But you know what shocked me? Only 2 were people actually checking if I was okay. The rest were people asking for favors. Can you help me with this? Do you have time to do this? I need this. Nobody noticed I was gone. They just noticed they needed something. That's the moment everything clicked. I wasn't being kind by saying yes to everything. I was teaching people that my time, my energy, my presence had no value. So I started an experiment. I started saying no without long explanations, no excuses, no over apologizing. Just, I can't do that. And you know what happened? Some people got upset, called me selfish, said I'd changed. And they were right. I had changed, but not in the way they meant. The interesting part is the people who truly cared stayed. They didn't need me to be constantly available to value me. They loved me for who I was, not for what I could do for them. Here's what nobody tells you about being a people pleaser. You think you're being kind, but you're actually being dishonest. You're showing people a version of yourself that doesn't exist. Real relationships aren't built on what you can do for someone. They're built on who you are when you're not trying to impress anyone. And that's the person I had completely lost. So I made a new rule for my life. If saying yes meant saying no to myself, the answer was no. If being there for someone meant abandoning myself, I wasn't going. My circle got smaller, but it got real. I went from 500 social media friends to 5 real friends. And those 5, they showed up, they cared, they saw me. Today I celebrate my birthday differently. Small dinner with people who actually love me. No grand gestures, no trying to impress anyone, just authentic connection. And that empty restaurant table on my worst birthday was the best gift I ever received because it forced me to see the truth I'd been avoiding. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot be loved for who you are if you're too busy being who everyone else needs you to be. The world doesn't need another people pleaser, it needs the real you. So if you're watching this and you're exhausted from trying to be everything to everyone, if you feel invisible despite being constantly available, stop. Just stop. Let the people who only want you for what you provide walk away. Make space for the ones who want you for who you are. Your peace is worth their approval. The day I stopped trying to impress everyone was the day I finally started living. Not performing, not pretending, just living. And I've never felt more free. You weren't born to be everyone's favorite person. You were born to be your authentic self. And the right people will love you for exactly that.